Did Auburn do enough to move up in the SEC pecking order after week 1?
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zach Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day, as well as Locked On SEC. This is a crossover edition. Chris Gordy of Locked On SEC hanging out with us. I want to pick your brain after week 1. Gordy, how do we feel about Auburn? I mean, I think Auburn folks feel better about Auburn. So I open it up to you. Your impression of Auburn after their 2-touchdown win on the road in Waco, and where does that put them now in the conference, or does it move them at all?
Yeah, it's an impressive win. Look, let's be real. A lot of people were picking Auburn to get upset by a pretty good Baylor team. And so, to go on the road in a hostile environment and win the way they did, I thought was good. The biggest gripe I've gotten from people who maybe just kind of casually watched the game and or maybe just looked at box scores was, where's that big, dangerous passing attack that Auburn was supposed to have? And so, of course, when you explain it, well, Baylor was playing the pass. They were giving you the run, so they took the run. Again, I think most people kind of look at it now, and all this can be solved over these next 2 weeks. You play Ball State, you play South Alabama. This is a chance to show what you got in the passing game. And honestly, not just try to prove the haters wrong, but show that chemistry between Arnold and Cam Coleman and Malcolm Simmons and these guys that, again, all the offseason hype and talk of, we are going to have this prolific offense. Again, I was impressed with the run game. Alston, Cobb, the running back by committee with Jackson Arnold. I think I kind of like the run approach. So you proved you can run the ball when you need to. Now go take your frustrations out and show you can fling it down the field. And honestly, not just pass, but I'd like to see some explosive plays. Where's the 76-yard touchdown bomb? Like, I want to see kind of some of those plays over these next couple weeks as you prepare and get ready for SEC play.
Yeah, really the explosive plays you saw. Jackson had a few with his legs. I mean, obviously you had a kick return for a touchdown. That helps, but we're talking offensively here. You had that deep pass to Cam Coleman. You had Malcolm Simmons down the seam there. Like, you had moments, but you're right. Are you going to get that bomb against Ball State or South Alabama coming up? We'll see. We'll certainly see on that. You mentioned, like if you watch the game and you kind of see like, what exactly happened with Baylor playing too deep and all that. My biggest concern was the decision-making from Jackson Arnold. And that can mean a lot of different things in these modern offenses, right? I mean, RPO obviously is a big part of it. And then if it's a drop back, are you making the right decision as you progress through your reads? And we didn't see a ton of that. But when you're coming from Peyton Thorne and going to Jackson Arnold, like, the big question is, like, can you make right decisions consistently? And Jackson did make the right decisions consistently against Baylor. And to me, that was my biggest concern and why I feel so much better about the season moving forward now.
Yeah, that's ball protection was going to be key, especially, like I said, opening on the road on a Friday night, hostile environment, nationally televised game. You want to take care of the football, and they did that. He had the one fumble, but they didn't lose it. No interceptions. So, I mean, that's exactly what you want, and ball security is going to be key for Auburn as they go throughout the season. I look at those last 2 games of this month; those are going to be, I think,
huge.
The biggest test for this team. You can go 1-1, great. If you lose both, it's all right. Well, this kind of sucks, but at A&M is a brutal place. Kyle Field is electric and get loud. But at Oklahoma, I don't know if you will face a louder environment this year because of who your quarterback is. Jackson Arnold going back there to Norman, they're going to want blood. So that's where, again, and I hate to poo-poo on Ball State and South Alabama, but these are your 2 dress rehearsals to work out all the kinks. You passed your first test of flying colors, getting the win at Baylor. I thought the defense played pretty well, man. I mean, all things considered, I'm excited to see what the secondary can do as the year rolls along.
Really? I mean, a lot of people are pretty upset. It almost seems like Auburn folks are more upset with how the defense played than folks outside of Auburn that I talked to. So, like, what specifically makes you say that? Because I don't think you're far off. I think there's been a little bit of overreaction with how many yards the Auburn defense gave up. So what specifically makes you say that?
Well, the good thing is they responded every time Baylor, because you knew you were going to keep getting Baylor's best punch. But
sure,
two of their drives came late in the third quarter and to start the fourth quarter. Again, I never felt like Auburn was going to lose the game. Every time Baylor came back and scored, Auburn responded with another score to push it back to a 2-score game. So
yeah.
It's almost, I don't want to say it was garbage time yards because there was still a lot of game left, but it just felt like Auburn had this one in the bag. I was at the Texas Bowl. LSU got up to a monster lead on Baylor, and then they let their foot off the gas pedal, and Baylor scored some touchdowns late, made it look a little bit closer. At the end of the day, people went, "Oh, Sawyer Robertson threw for 400 yards." Yeah, but they kind of let their foot off the gas pedal. So again, these next 2 games will be the games to really show the secondary. I'd love to see them get their hands on some footballs, get an interception or 2, and then of course, love to see.
We lost Chris Gordy. But we'll continue our conversation because now the big thing is Auburn going into the season was ranked around 10th, 11th, 12th in that range when you talk about the level of football team that they are in the SEC. And I just think when you look around the conference, like the gut feeling is, okay, Auburn should go up some. But when you look at the teams that they could potentially pass, we got Chris Gordy back. Going into the season, Auburn was ranked 10th, 11th, 12th-ish in most SEC power rankings, right, Gordy? And so I think it feels like Auburn should shoot up as far as the perception, but I'm not entirely positive who they need to pass in those situations.
Well, if we're doing, if we're just doing who are the best teams in the SEC right now so far,
right.
I predicted, I thought Georgia was going to be one of the best teams. They played Marshall. It's hard to get a read, but they look really good. Gunnar Stockton looked great. So, I keep them near the front of the pack. I think LSU really sent a statement in how, not just the win at Clemson, but how they looked. I mean, even if they lose that game at Clemson late, I still was overall impressed with what they did. They dominated that game.
And they had a touchdown that they just didn't count.
Touchdown taken off the board, and they left points on the board right before halftime too. So, for the most part, they move, and now they come back home, get a cupcake against Louisiana Tech, and then it's Florida. We're going to see if this LSU defense is the real deal, but it looks like one of the best defenses LSU's had in quite a while. So I think LSU's up there. Texas is still up there just because of their defense. So I think Arch Manning will get the offense and all that figured out. Yeah. So they get them. But then you kind of have this logjam of other teams. Like, what is Texas A&M? They looked okay against UTSA. The passing
eventually
game,
it took them a little bit to get going. Yeah,
and they were in a tight game, but they didn't run the ball at will like I thought they would. Like I thought they were going to have the best rushing attack in the SEC this year, and it seemed like they wanted to showcase their new offensive weapons through the air. So we'll see what happens with them all the rest of the season. But I put it's A&M, Tennessee, Ole Miss. Probably Florida. I guess we could put Oklahoma in there. We'll see what they do against Michigan this week. But I almost want to put Auburn in that category.
Okay, that's up a little higher. I mean, there were folks that put Mizzou ahead of Auburn fairly consistently, and Arkansas, they were kind of more in that tier. And I think they've done enough to kind of scoot themselves up to the top of that conversation so far this year.
One weekend, I would and look, Mizzou played Central Arkansas. I mean, you can't really get a read on that. Arkansas played some other slappy too. So I think right now we've got to give credit to what we saw Auburn do. I'd put Auburn ahead of Arkansas and Mizzou right now.
Which is important because Auburn plays both of those teams. That's an important aspect to all of this. So, all right, I want to ask you, did our thoughts change on Jackson Arnold? And you, from the SEC point of view, did Jackson Arnold maybe move up some quarterback rankings as far as his footing in the SEC? That's next right here on this crossover edition of Locked on Auburn and Locked on SEC. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Upside. We all love Upside here at Locked on. Gordy, can you imagine paying full price for gas and not getting cash back? That's crazy. Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in your phone's app store and start earning cash at the pump today. You can use our code FOOTBALL, like just the word football, I think it has to be in all caps. And you get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. Don't let this offer drive by. Download the free Upside app now. Use our code football for a limited time, 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's promo code football. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Mazda. This is Mazda's Moving the Game Forward, brought to you by those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it, because these moments do more than win. They push what's possible. They remind us to go that extra yard, shift into that extra gear, and keep moving the game forward. I think a guy who moved the game forward for Auburn, I think it's safe to say Jackson Arnold did exactly that in Auburn's 2-touchdown win over the Baylor Bears. So when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Thank you so much for tuning in to Locked on Auburn and Locked on SEC. Zach Blackerby, Chris Gordy here with you. Jackson Arnold impressed me. My biggest concern going into the season was his consistency with decision-making. It was not the physical tools. I think we saw everything that you wanted to see mentally from him, from a decision-making standpoint and from a leadership and confidence standpoint. Chris Gordy, your overall thoughts on Jackson Arnold now 1 week into the season?
Yeah, I think, look, I've always been high on Arnold. I like him a lot. Coming out of or going into last year as the guy at Oklahoma, and talked to him multiple times leading in the last season. And it's not an excuse anymore. The offensive line injuries and the wide receiver injuries hurt them at Oklahoma last year. It just did. Right. But I think there's still some skeptical who saw, throwing for 54 yards against Tennessee before being benched, throwing 74 yards against Mizzou, 68 yards against Alabama, that people go, okay, but I just saw that week one again, for Auburn. He can run it, but can he throw it? And so until he does that, you're going to have skeptics saying, okay, be a quarterback. Don't be, a run first panic guy when the first read's not there. But again, if you watch the game on Friday night, if you watch the film, I saw a guy who did want to pass, but when the running lanes were there, he took what the defense was giving him. So again, all you can ask for is go out there and put wins in the W's in the win column. That's all that matters to me. Again, as the season rolls along, do I expect he will evolve as a passer? Yes. He'll start to get more of the credit he deserves as a quarterback. But for now, there will still be those critics saying, where's the 300-yard passing day from Jackson Arnold, the 5-star talent?
Yeah, and maybe this is just Auburn bias, and it seems like whenever Auburn has a good year, they're able to run the football, but I just don't care. Like, if you can run for $130 on the ground at the quarterback position, like, okay, great. I mean, we're all thinking about Nick Marshall and Cam Newton. It's like, yeah, like I'm just not really worried about how you get the yards, Gordy. Just get into the end zone.
That's all that matters. I mean, that's ultimately, if he throws for 200 yards and every time they get in the red zone, they hand it off, and Austin or Cobb or whoever's running it in, who cares if he doesn't have the touchdowns? It's silliness, but you just want to be able to show that you can do that. I think they will these next 2 weeks show that ability to throw it, which will then, you'll go in that Oklahoma game and they're going to have to say, all right, we don't know what to do. But the worst thing you want to do is you go in Oklahoma and they're just loading the box and daring him to throw it. And if he can't, then, there will be a lot of criticism from that. So, but that's where I say these next 2 weeks, just if I'm Hugh, let it hang out, let him throw for a ton of yards just to make Oklahoma have to respect that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you have enough talent on the outside where you have to respect it anyway, but put it on tape. Put it on tape. It's not going to hurt you when you go to Norman. 100% agree. Going into the season, Jackson was ranked, when you do like quarterback rankings in the conference, anywhere from like 10 to 15 is typically what you saw. I mean, we saw him as low as 14 or 15. I mean, that's not true, right? Like, do we feel better about that not being true at this point? Or is it just such a loaded quarterback class in the SEC right now where it's like, that might not even really be about Jackson. It might just be more about the conference right now.
It's loaded when you talk about at the top. It's led by Garrett Nussmeier and Lenore Sellers, I think, are the two guys at the top. Now, John Mateer just had an outstanding week at Oklahoma. Arch Manning obviously didn't perform well, but we think he's going to eventually. Taylon Green just threw 6 touchdowns in a game for Arkansas.
I think Taylon's great. I think he's extremely underrated. Same with Martell Reed at A&M.
I think Gunnar Stockton played well against Marshall, showed his wheels as well as his passing ability. So you start to go down the list, and then you get into a category of Diego Pavia, Marcel Reed, Blake Shapen. I mean, dare I say, Ty Simpson might be the bottom of the barrel right now in the SEC.
Oh, say it again, Chris Gordy. Say it again.
Austin Simmons, we'll see as he gets tested at Ole Miss. DJ Lagway, I think, is among the best. Calzada at Kentucky's probably near the bottom. But, that's where you get into the rankings. If you go, I think Jackson Arnold very highly of him, and I think he performed very well. But if I'm starting to rank SEC quarterbacks just the weekend, Zach, he's probably middle of the pack. I mean, it's hard to put him top 2, top 3 right now.
Yeah. And that was a big storyline going into it, right? It's like, I think Auburn has done a good enough job building a roster where if Jackson is just a solid SEC quarterback, I think that's enough. I think that's enough for Auburn to achieve a lot of what they want that's still in front of them.
Yeah. The bottom line is, my biggest questions were how do they get this ground game going? It'd be great to have a Tank Bigsby or somebody like that. And, I think Alston's fine. I don't think he's your power back that you're going to give, 25, 30 touches to a game. I think it's going to be Cobb and by committee. I'd love to see a little bit more of Darrell Robinson. Heard such great things about Mabson all throughout camp. So, we'd love to see him get some touches. But, to me, if they can't run the football through the backfield, not just Jackson running it, if they can't run it consistently, it doesn't matter what you're going to do through the passing game. So like to see them be a little bit more balanced, but it's again, Jackson Arnold will earn that respect the more wins that Auburn gets.
Yeah. I mean, cause that's all that matters. Everybody will look past stats if you just keep winning. And you mentioned the running game there, like Damari Austin being questionable this weekend with that shoulder. You're probably going to see more Darrell Robinson and Omar Mabson. I don't want Jeremiah Cobb getting hit 15, 20 times in the next 2 weeks against these teams. I just don't want to see it. So looking ahead, what does Auburn need to do to keep achieving everything that's in front of them? And just a quick look ahead at Auburn, Oklahoma. It's going to be electric. Next, right here on this crossover edition of Locked on Auburn and Locked on SEC. Today's show brought to you by our friends at DoorDash. It's almost the weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP. Who delivered? Powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it matters most. I'm going to go with Rayshon Pleasant, Chris Gordy. I mean, you talked about like Auburn always kind of having like the control over the game. Baylor got it within 1 score, and Rayshon says, I don't care. I'm going to house this thing. I'm going to say he delivered. I think that's safe to say.
I'll throw in Harold Perkins at LSU. He made the big stop on 4th down, pressuring Cade Klubnik into an incomplete pass that won the game for them. So another guy delivered when they needed him most.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And just like they delivered for their teams, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you can save every Saturday you order. Stack it all up all season long, and you can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. Thank you so much to making Locked on Auburn, Locked on SEC your first listens every single day. Please subscribe to our channels. Please like our videos. And if you're tuned in on audio, subscribe, leave a review. Helps our shows out a ton. We really, really appreciate it. Let's fast forward. I'm not gonna ask you about Ball State. Let's fast forward a few weeks. And let's just assume Oklahoma takes care of business against Michigan. The hype and energy, assuming both teams are 3-0, as Auburn goes to Norman and Jackson goes to play against his former team. We're kind of new in this transfer portal era. We see it all the time in pro sports, but you're starting to see big college players go up against their former schools now, which is kind of unique. What do you think the level of excitement, anticipation, attention could be in Norman just a few weeks from now?
Well, I'll just say, if you're a Norman fan, don't get too ahead of yourself, because after this game against Michigan, which is a big, big game, They have to go on the road at Temple. I don't know why they're playing a home and home with Temple, but on the road at Temple, who got a win over UMass in week 1. We'll see what they look like. But, what you don't want to happen for Oklahoma is they get, can you imagine they lose to Michigan and then get in a look-ahead spot where they're looking ahead to Auburn, and then they go let their guard down. They're in a tight battle with Temple. So just say we don't know what's going to happen with OU these next 2 weeks. But assuming, yes, they manhandle or take care of Michigan at home this week, go manhandle Temple on the road. Yes, the buildup coming back home to Norman is going to be massive with the prodigal son returning and Jackson Arnold coming back to Oklahoma. And yeah, I mean, they are going to boo the hell out of him. And again, I'm talking to people that were at Oklahoma. They don't hold a grudge against Jackson. They get it. Yeah. Well, it didn't work out, but he's now on a team that's on your schedule. If you could have scripted a little bit better, yeah, I think Jackson Arnold would have preferred to have gone to another SEC school that doesn't play Oklahoma this year, particularly in Norman. But that said, he knows what it's like there. Heck, he's been booed in that stadium before when he was wearing their colors last year. So maybe he knows exactly what it's going to take to win there.
Yeah, and the more Auburn folks learn about Jackson, he may love that. He may love the fact that they booed him when he was wearing their colors. I mean, I saw a different Jackson Arnold on Friday where I saw more confidence than I've ever seen him with, almost some moxie where it's he
was enjoying himself. I mean, he was smiling.
He didn't look like that at Oklahoma. I mean, it's a totally different situation, right? Which is why he needed to leave, and it made sense for both sides. No, I don't think anybody's questioning that. And so now this confident, Jackson Arnold that maybe has some swag to him for the first time in his collegiate career, some players benefit from that type of situation. We'll see if Jackson Arnold's one of those in a few weeks.
Yeah. And again, I want to see show me the explosiveness, show me the passing game, show me the chemistry with these receivers to get loose, make big plays. And, they'll feel really confident going into Norman. If the Auburn look, some guys, Cam Coleman can win just about any matchup one-on-one in this league. The key is that Jackson can deliver the football and get it into his vicinity to make the big plays. So that's what's that's what's going to be interesting. Again, it's just so hard to grade off of seeing one game where matchups dictated they didn't have to play that way to win. But yeah, man, I'm excited to see it. I feel like these next 2 weeks could be real confidence boosters. The South Alabama game, though, is early. Maybe they're a little sleepwalking in that one. But this game against Ball State being at night, Hugh should be able to showcase everything he wants to showcase in this one.
Yeah. Those 11 o'clock games against lower opponents, those are always tricky. Always tricky. It seems like
fans don't care. I mean, it's
all the time. Yeah, it's like you look up and it's halftime and you're only up 10 or something. It's like, what's going on? Or you're only up a touchdown. So, and we saw that throughout the conference to some extent this past weekend. I mean, it's part of college football, right? The way Auburn ran the ball against Baylor, how many teams in the SEC do you think that'll be equivalent to? I mean, Baylor's got a Big 12 front. I think the trenches is the biggest difference between, the Big 12 and the ACC versus the Big 10 and the SEC. I think that's the biggest difference, top to bottom. From what we've seen one weekend, are there any fronts that are on Auburn's schedule where you're like, yeah, they could get something going similar to that against this opponent?
You talking about teams that'll run the football on them?
Yeah, or teams that Auburn should be able to run on.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha. Against defensive fronts. I'm gonna have to see a little bit more out of A&M. Is a revamped defensive line, so gonna need a little bit more of a sample size on it. But UTSA, I mean, I saw a few times that they were able to third and short, and they run on them and kept the chains moving. Oklahoma will have to see a little bit more out of them. I mean, Georgia obviously was. I mean, they were stout up front. It was Marshall, but they look stout as stout up front as always. Mizzou, I thought, they had some guys kind of emerging there. They got a defensive end, Damon Wilson, who transferred from Georgia. He had 2 sacks in week 1. He had 3 sacks all of last year at Georgia. He's already got 2 in the first week.
Mizzou against Kansas I think we'll learn a lot about Missouri this weekend.
Yeah, no doubt. And Jalen Daniels, a guy who can tuck it and run it. So it'll be interesting in how they, if they try to keep him in the pocket, that might be some teams' MO against Jackson Arnold and Auburn, saying, let's take his running ability away and make him have to throw. Yeah. And then, Kentucky they were okay against Toledo. We'll see, this weekend where they play Ole Miss, if they get any pressure on Austin Simmons and those guys. And then, of course, Alabama's a mess, but you got to assume that for the finale,
3 months from now, it's
by the time you get to the Iron Bowl, Tim Keenan will be back. Maybe Alabama's clicking on all cylinders by that time. It's easy to overreact to week one, but kind of look at who's on Auburn's schedule, the defensive fronts they'll face. It's kind of a wait and see on a lot of these teams outside of Georgia, who we know is going to be good. But as far as rush attacks go, A&M to me is still on paper one of the best in the country. Ahmad Hardy for Mizzou got loose. He ended up with 100 yards.
Stud.
Kentucky looked pretty good. Dante Dowdell and that backfield. I know it's not on Auburn's schedule, but Mississippi State, Fluff Bothwell and Devon Booth look to be pretty strong too. So
incredible name.
It's an all-timer, but it is wild though, Zach, to see that after 1 week, the leading rusher in the SEC is an Auburn Tiger, and it's not even a running back.
Yeah, no, it's like old times. It's like old times. I've seen so many people are like, is he Nick Marshall? I'm like, hold on. Wait a second. But what's crazy too is Tamari Olson's 8th in the SEC right now rushing. So really, Auburn's got 2 top 8 rushers in the SEC right now. No other school has that. So, I take it back. Ole Miss, you got Logan Diggs ended up getting loose with Kewan Lacey. So really, it's Ole Miss and Auburn, but it's small sample size. It's 1 week. Yeah, that's right. Chris, Gordy, for all the Auburn folks watching, how can they get more SEC-wide coverage from you?
Locked On SEC, wherever you get your podcasts. We're having weekly guests on, breaking down all the matchups, getting into all the conversation, and a new segment we've debuted. We debuted it last week. Fridays, we do a celebrity guest picker segment. A celebrity will join us each and every week. Now, we go soft on the word celebrity. It's somebody who's kind of famous, who you might know. Last week, our buddy Ben Troop, former Florida Gator tight end, was drafted by the Tennessee Titans and had a nice NFL career. He was on with us, and he did pretty well making picks. So we will have a new celebrity guest picker on Friday.
Ooh, can't wait to see. Can't wait to see. Please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you guys next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.